Yo, what it is, you know what it is. It's your man, King Musa. Welcome to the Cheat Sheet, where we decode success from professors, creators, and business owners. I'm your host, King Musa, and today we'll be diving into the realm of academic leadership and innovation with a distinguished guest. We're honored to have Dr. Marc Guidry, the Associate Provost at Stephen F. Austin State University, on the show. Dr. Guidry plays a crucial role in shaping the academic landscape at SFA. We're excited to learn more about his work and perspective. Welcome, Dr. Guidry. Yeah.
How are you?
Man, I'm doing good. Before we get started, I got a quick question for you.
Sure.
What is your favorite subject?
My favorite subject when I was in school was English.
Okay. Okay. I it took me a while to get into English until I got to college. That's what got me into English. But now I'll say I enjoy it because with everything I do, and now we're called media and communication, no longer mass communication. You need to write a lot. So
Yeah, it's with social media in particular and all the digital forms of communication, things are exploding.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's go ahead and dive in a little bit about you. Could you introduce yourself and describe your role as the associate provost at Stephen F. Austin?
Well, yeah, I'm Marc Guidry. I've been at SFA for, believe it or not, 25 years.
Yes, sir.
Started in 1999. I started as associate provost in 2018.
Okay.
So I've been doing this for 6 years. And, you know, most schools that are SFA size have 2 or 3 associate provosts.
Yes, sir.
We just have me.
Yeah.
So I call myself the associate provost of all the things. Because I do, you know, like a lot of times you'll have an associate provost who does curriculum development and accreditation assessment, and that'll be one role. Then you'll have an associate provost who will do student success, like, you know, oversee academic advising,
Right.
oversee the tutoring operation, things like TSI placement.
Right.
Peer mentoring, student mentoring, any kind of learning communities like the Generation Jacks community, all that kind of stuff will be a different role.
Right.
And then you'll have an associate provost who will do what they call faculty affairs and deal with, you know, faculty tenure, promotion, personnel issues, things like that. At SFA, our provost mainly does that.
Okay.
I do some of that, but our provost mainly does that. So really what I do is I combine the curriculum, accreditation, assessment role with the student success role.
Yes, sir. Oh, you put all the puzzle pieces together. I like it. I like it. Tell us a little bit more about your background and what inspired you to pursue a career in higher education administration.
Well, I did major in English because it was my favorite subject.
Yes, sir.
And I became an English professor, and that's what I was doing at SFA when I started in 1999.
Okay.
And I did that until 2012. And then I started as associate dean in the College of Liberal and Applied Arts and started doing curriculum development and a number of things with that college until I became associate provost. You know, so I've had a life as a teacher, as a researcher. My specialty was medieval British literature.
Okay.
I've published a book on Chaucer's Knight's Tale, you know, the Canterbury Tales.
So what's the name of the book?
It's an illustrated edition of the Knight's Tale.
Okay. Yes, sir.
And in fact, we studied. There's a 600-year history of illustrating that work in different ways, and I worked with an artist at SFA, Charlie Jones,
Okay.
who he retired a few years ago, but he was in our visual arts program. And so me and Charlie came up with a different way of illustrating that tale that had never been done before. We presented on it in conferences in England and around the country, had a lot of fun with that. But really what I wanted to do beyond just teaching and research was things that I thought would really help student success.
Yes, sir.
And that's why I got into my administrative role.
Okay, let's take a little step back. What city are you from? How many did you have any siblings, things like that?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm from New Orleans.
Really?
Yeah,
From the boot.
from the boot, that's right, from the boot. I'm a Who Dat fan, member of the Who Dat Nation, through thick and thin. So that's where I grew up. I love, cooking. I love gumbo,
Yes, sir.
jambalaya, all the good Creole and, Cajun, foods.
Yes, sir.
Like to garden and cook myself. In fact, I have one brother. My brother's name is John. He's up in Brooklyn now,
Mhm.
and actually he lives both in Vermont and Brooklyn. Uh, Married for over 30 years.
Yes,
My
sir.
wife is, Monique. We have 2 children. They're both grown up. They both went to college. Our daughter did go to SFA. She got a music education degree, and now
Yes,
she's
sir.
a band director, in
Okay.
Texas.
Were your parents teachers?
Well, my dad did end up becoming a teacher. He worked for the, South Central Bell Phone Company
Okay.
for, over 25 years, and then he became a high school teacher for a
Mhm.
little while. He did a variety of things. Now he's retired. My mom was never, a teacher. They were both first gen college students. They both went to college. So I guess what you'd call second generation.
Yes, sir. Now, for my people who aren't from Louisiana, what does buku mean?
It means a lot. It means a lot of something, like Boku dollars is a lot of bucks. That's what that means.
Okay, I used to have some friends that would say that. I'm just looking at them like, "What are you saying?"
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Means a whole lot.
So what are some of your personal interests and passions beyond your professional role?
Well, I mentioned, cooking, gardening. I'm into, a lot of native, plants, native flowers, native
Mhm.
trees, things that are anchor plants for, native bees and pollinators and birds.
Okay.
I like to be able to take stuff right out of my yard to my kitchen,
Okay.
right,
Yo.
and cook it up. So those are huge, passions,
Mhm.
for me. I like bird watching. I like, you know, sort of like watching some sports.
All right. Yes, sir. What's your favorite team?
Well, it is the Saints,
Okay.
New Orleans
Hey.
Saints, and, I'm a Tigers fan. We didn't have a great, start to the season, but, it's okay.
Yes, sir.
Um
Okay, let's go ahead and dive into this career. What are your primary responsibilities as the associate provost, and how do you contribute to the academic mission? I know
well,
we went over this just a little bit.
a little bit, yeah. I am, students often hear about, is your university accredited,
Hmm.
right? So SFA is accredited by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools,
Okay.
and I'm responsible for that institutional accreditation. And that's important because if we don't have that accreditation, the federal government will not give us financial aid to distribute to students.
Okay.
So if you have a Pell grant or a student loan, any kind of federal financial aid, that is dependent on keeping our institutional accreditation in good shape. So I'm our SAC COC accreditation liaison. I'm also the liaison to the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board
Okay.
for SFA. Anytime we create a new degree program, I have to put it through the coordinating board and through SACs and get it approved. I've been able to help with the creation of a lot of big degrees at SFA, the
Mm-hmm.
Doctorate of Social Work, our 2 engineering degrees in mechanical and electrical
Right.
engineering, construction management,
That's new. These are all the new ones they just added.
all
Yeah.
the new ones, aviation.
Hmm.
All that kind of stuff. I play a key role in making sure that it meets all of the standards that we have to meet for teaching, for student learning,
Hmm.
for the way the curriculum is developed. So that's a big thing that I do. We started the makerspace over in the library.
Right.
That's been something that I have helped spearhead. So we now have a really cool place where you can do 3D printing,
Yeah.
laser cutting, vinyl cutting, make music videos, all that kind of stuff. We're going to expand that operation. We have a growing student success center. We moved
Right.
international programs to the first floor of the library.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those kind of developments, I've been able to be part of. Another thing that we're doing now is micro credentials. So
Mm-hmm.
students, for the first time, you can get Coursera Career Academy micro credentials for free,
Okay.
like in data analysis, project management,
Mm-hmm.
different kinds of computer programming. And actually, faculty and staff, as well as students, can do these micro credentials. So we're expanding that. We have what's called PACE, the Professional Center for, or the Center for Professional and Career Education,
Yes, sir.
PACE. And that's where we're putting our micro credentialing. But we're in the process of working with local companies like Elliott Electric to help upskill their employees,
Right.
get them micro credentials, so different forms of accelerated learning. So I don't know. I do a lot of things, and that would be part of those would be some of the main things that I do.
And that's so cool. You get to know about all the new ideas, and I want to appreciate you with the financial aid part because we would not be here if it wasn't for that. Trust me, SFA can be kind of expensive. Um, could you share? Well, we know a little bit about your career journey, but could you share any pivotal experiences that led you to your current position?
Well, um, I guess you could say I did some things when I was in the English department. I ran the master's program,
Mm-hmm.
which helped prepare me for administration. When I got into being an associate dean in liberal and
Mm-hmm.
applied arts, me and a guy named Mike Walker, who's a psychology professor at SFA, we created the Gen Jax community in
Right.
2014.
Okay.
So this is a learning community for first gen students. Over 40% of our students identify as first generation.
Yes, sir.
So their parents never went to college. And we're growing that community. It's been going for 10 years now, which is,
That's pretty good. Yes.
that's pretty impressive. And we've got now several generations of alumni from
Mm-hmm.
that program. So I think doing programs like that, doing different kinds of curriculum management, and then student learning development initiatives like Gen Jax prepared me to do what I do now as an associate provost.
Yes, sir. Was there any challenges you kind of ran into or you had to overcome?
there there are, yeah. When I first started in my role,
Mm-hmm.
actually, the provost at the time was very skeptical of this whole idea of accreditation. He thought, we shouldn't even have to bother with this. But in point of fact, we have to keep our accreditation and we have to keep it healthy. And, so a lot of people, they don't want to be bothered with having to do assessment of their programs.
Mm-hmm.
They just think that's an imposition on them, including faculty. And so making people realize the importance
Mm-hmm.
of accreditation and assessment, that was actually a real challenge.
Okay.
But we came through. We did a major reaccreditation in 2021. We came through with flying colors.
Mm-hmm.
We have a clean bill of health from the Southern Association that runs through 2031.
Good.
Um, I think another challenge is just we have limited resources,
Right.
and that's why we only have one associate provost. So just being able to do a lot of things all at the same time,
Yeah.
to be able to delegate, to run several different offices, to figure out how to do it without micromanaging,
Mm-hmm.
and still get people to rise to the occasion to do better.
Right.
Those are some of the challenges.
Okay. If you don't mind me asking, what is your leadership style? Like, do you see a problem and you automatically like go after it? Because I'm hearing all of these different ideas, these different programs and initiatives, and I'm sitting here like, did this just pop in your head, or you was hearing faculty talk about it, and you were just like, all right, bet, let's lead the way.
What I do is I try to read a lot.
Okay.
I read things like Inside Higher Education, the Chronicle of Higher Education. They have another one called Business Education. There's a number of EAB, the Education Advisory Board, Hanover Research. There's a number of think tanks or different kinds of publications on developments in higher education that I keep abreast of. And I find out a lot of things that are happening around the nation and sometimes internationally in higher education that way. And if we're not doing it, and I think we need to be doing it,
Right.
then I start meeting with people at SFA that I think would play a role, like with development of micro-credentials,
Yes, sir.
to start getting it going. Or with the makerspace. We didn't have a makerspace, and I found out, hey, we were behind the curve.
Yeah.
So I started visiting makerspaces at other universities. UNT, University of North Texas has a real good one. UT Arlington has a good one. So we just went and toured and started getting ideas and brought them back. Or I'll read reports and get ideas, like the Boyer Commission 2030 report gave me an idea about a career ladder for professional advisors, which we just put in place, which has 4 rungs. So you can be a professional advisor 1, 2, 3, or 4 if you do certain kinds of professional development. So that helps, and you get raises if you go up the ladder. That helps keep our advisors in place. You get a stable workforce. You get better advising.
Yeah.
You get institutional memory because people aren't leaving. They're developing in their positions. So just finding out, hey, what are they doing in learning in higher education at other places around the country, around the world, that we aren't doing, that we could be doing, that we should be doing, bringing it back to us, then working a network of people at SFA who I think could help do those things. That is part of my leadership style. I do not micromanage unless it would be necessary.
Okay.
So as long as my directors, like in student success, in the makerspace, in the ARC, in international programs, in institutional effectiveness, in PACE, in the Lumberjack Learning Commons, as long as those guys are doing their work at a high level, which is really what we expect.
Right.
I don't micromanage them. I expect them to be able to manage their own staff. And it's really management at a much higher level, big ideas at a more macro level. What are our plans to get better at what we're doing? What are our goals? How are we going to meet those goals? Where are we at in terms of progress towards those goals? If we haven't met those goals, what's an action plan to get there? That is what I want to do. I don't want to be involved in nuts and bolts stuff because I don't have the time.
Yeah.
And I want to give people the
Yeah.
autonomy
Yes,
to
sir.
do that themselves.
Yes, sir. I like that. Are there any new initiatives or changes that is going on at SFA that students and faculty should be aware of?
Yeah, there are.
Ooh.
Yeah. And with a new president, and joining the system,
Right.
there have been a lot of new things because partly due to having new resources, like, for instance, the micro-credentials that I mentioned, the Career Academy, Coursera Career Academy, that's a new resource. Another one is we have several faculty, dozens of faculty members who are training to be better teachers through, it's a program called AQ, the American Council on University Education, AQ. So AQ has a series of courses that will train even experienced faculty to be even better teachers, to use more engaging methods of teaching so that they're engaging students in learning more effectively, to use the latest technology, things like that. So we, just this fall, we just started it. We've got several dozen faculty doing the AQ teacher excellence courses. Another thing that we're going to be doing is starting with the first freshman class for this fall, for fall of 25. Okay. We've never done this before. We are going to preload those students into their core math course. Okay. So imagine you were a freshman coming in. You're getting advised for the first time. You're at registration, right? Are you going to take that math class?
Yeah.
Well, maybe not, because I don't like math. Well, you're going to take it now. You're going to take it now. You're going to take your freshman English if you haven't done it dual credit. Okay.
Wow.
You're going to do that for the first time. And we're also gonna put everybody do you know SFAS 1101,
Mhm.
the student success course?
Right.
It's an optional course. We're not making it required, but we're gonna preload students into it, so then if you don't wanna take it, you'd have to actually go and drop it,
Okay.
okay? So
Oh,
students
man.
students are gonna be preloaded into 7 hours of courses
Okay.
before they even get to SFA.
Okay.
Then they're gonna meet with their advisor and talk about the rest of their schedule,
Mhm.
okay? And why are we doing that? Well, what we're trying to do is increase student retention, and by retention, I mean the percentage of students who start the first year and come back the second year, who
Mhm.
don't stop out, who don't quit, okay? Don't leave SFA. We want people to finish their degrees
Right.
because, of course, the most expensive degree is the one you never got,
Right.
is the one that you got student loans, you got debt for, but you
But you
never
never.
got the credential,
Yeah.
right? So, we know there's an organization called Complete College America that shows that when students take their core math
Mhm.
and their core English as a freshman, their GPAs go up, their retention goes up, their graduation rate goes up, and I mean significantly,
Yes, sir.
okay? And it makes sense because those are foundational skills. And if you're doing them as a freshman, you're going to use that analytical, quantitative abilities from math. You're going to use those communication writing skills from freshman comp
Yeah.
in your other classes. And you're
Okay.
going to be better at doing it in your other classes because you've had it foundationally. We know from our own data at SFA that students who take SFAS 1101 have higher GPAs. They come back at a higher rate. They graduate at a higher rate. We've got decades of data that actually
Okay.
show that. So that's a new initiative, preloading students into those courses. We're going to be, we increased tutor pay at the
Okay.
ARC. It went
Ooh.
from $10,
Yeah.
yeah, from $10 an hour to $15
Oh, what?
an hour. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They was already paying the most at 10. Now they're at 15.
They're at
Oh, man.
they're at
I
15.
might have to start applying over there.
You should apply. We don't want to lose students to Chick-fil-A.
Right.
Okay? I mean, why not get $15 an hour to tutor instead of to stand in front of a fryer,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so we're going to be trying to get more students to go to the ARC
Mm.
because we know that when students go 5 times or more in a long semester, meaning the fall or spring, if you go 5 times or more to the ARC, guess what? Your GPA goes way up.
Okay.
So there's a lot of student success initiatives like that
Right.
that we're doing. We're trying to develop teachers more. We're going to do another thing also. We're doing the groundwork this year, and it's going to roll out in the fall of 25. It's called the Student Experience Project.
Okay.
And what that is it's another way to help basically develop faculty to be better teachers.
Mhm.
And in particular, that's going to be about how do faculty do some simple things in their class that will lead to a greater sense of student belonging,
Right.
social belonging, a greater sense that students know that they can actually increase their learning,
Yes, sir.
a growth mindset, right? Um, having students not fearing failure,
Mhm.
realizing that they actually learn from their failures. How can we have more low stakes testing where students don't have to fear failure and
Right.
start learning from that?
Mhm.
Things like that. So there's a whole bunch of new stuff that we're going to be doing, and probably also some new degrees are going to be. We're constantly looking at what's working, what are some degree programs that maybe aren't popular anymore,
Right.
where we need to reallocate resources instead of continuing those programs, have a newer program, right?
Mhm.
Like we were just talking about, should we have a degree in gaming, for instance? And if we do, could it be interdisciplinary where you would do both visual arts and computer science?
Okay. This is way too exciting, man. This Oh, okay. Wow. You mentioned something that was very important though. One of my favorite quotes is failure leads to success, right? What was your experience when it came to, a couple challenges or failures that you kind of reached and then eventually that you learned from those and was able to move forward?
You know, one of the things that I've had to get over in my life is perfectionism, is
Okay.
fearing failure,
Yeah.
wanting to be too perfect
Yeah.
when it's really not possible. And so a lot of times when you think that you have to be perfect, you actually end up procrastinating
Hmm.
because you can never do it good enough. So you kind of start putting it off out of
Hmm.
fear that you're never going to be good enough. And I know from my own experience, I didn't have to study a foreign language when I was in college. It wasn't required. And so I was studying Spanish, and I wasn't bad at it, but I never went as far as I should have
Right.
because it started to get a little harder, as I, progressed. And then I thought, well, it's going to be harder to make an A in this class.
Hmm.
So, and I'm not required to do it. It's not part of my degree requirements. So I'll just stop doing it. Right.
Right.
So I deprived myself of an opportunity to be bilingual
Right.
out of fear that, well, maybe I won't be perfect and I won't get an A.
Yeah.
Right. So it's more important to learn
Yes,
than it
sir.
is to get an A. And, when you're a student, you don't always know that though, because there's so much pressure to get grades, right? So one of the things that I've had to learn is don't fear failing.
Hmm.
Take it as part of learning,
Yes, sir.
as part of your development, and just keep on pushing. And I think there's been a number of things professionally where the first year I didn't get what I wanted. The second year I didn't get what I wanted. One of the things that has taken me actually 10 years to get done
Yes, sir.
at SFA is we're going to have a new software to audit your degree. So,
Hmm.
so right now, if you want to go into Banner, for instance, or my SFA, and see if you're on track to graduate, we have this degree audit software called CAP, which
Hmm.
is what you're supposed to be looking at. It's terrible. It's awful.
Okay.
There's a product called DegreeWorks, which is a lot better, and you can actually create a dynamic major map where you can sit down with your advisor, map out all 4 years based on, did you do dual credit? Are you swirling credits from a community
Hmm.
college? How many hours are you going to take in the fall? Are you going to take hours in the summer? How can you do it in 4 years? If you want to graduate in 3 years, what would you have to do?
Right.
Things like that. This software is going to allow us to do that. You can't do that with CAP. Um, I tried a couple times, had meetings, didn't get any support, didn't get funding. I could have just given up and gone home.
Yeah.
I just kept it sort of on the back burner, and then I would keep trying, keep introducing it. Well, now we're doing it.
Yes,
We're
sir.
implementing it right now, and it's going to go live in fall of 25. So you can't let failure or rejection stop you. Um, and you just can't fear if something is going to be perfect. Like, will the preloading of courses work out perfectly? It probably won't,
Right.
but I bet you it will end up with students being more successful.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I like that. So, do you have any more advice you would like to give students or staff looking to get into, especially academic administration?
Well, um, I would say that I still like to teach, by the way, and
Mhm.
I've been teaching every year voluntarily, and including freshman composition, English
Yes,
1301. I've
sir.
been teaching that, so I have not given up on teaching, and I don't think you go into administration because you get tired of teaching.
Okay.
That is not a good reason to go into administration. If you get tired of teaching and you're a college professor, I'd say maybe just get out of college.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I think if there are things that you want to accomplish that you're not able to accomplish just by teaching a certain set of courses, like, creating the Gen Jack's learning community, for
Yes, sir.
instance, right? Creating a maker space, you know, um, if you want to do those kind of things, if you're good at detail, if you're a good technical writer, you have to
Mhm.
be a good technical writer, I think, to do the kind of administration that I do. If you're someone who can work across a lot of different groups,
Mhm.
right? And you can motivate people, and you can organize people into working groups. Yeah, then administration. You should consider going into administration if you have bigger ideas. If you're absolutely passionate about what you're teaching, about what you're researching,
Right.
just keep doing it.
Yes, sir.
You know, um, and I mean, for me, I had always thought about. Actually, I had had several staff roles. I didn't just teach. I had been an academic counselor.
Hmm.
I had been actually an admissions counselor. I had recruited students for a couple of years from my alma mater. I did that before I went to grad school. Um, I've worked in the equivalent of what we call the ARC in disability services. So I've had staff roles as well as faculty roles. And that has also that kind of, ability to work not just with faculty, but with staff, and to
Yes.
understand what they do from having done it myself. I think that's another thing that, you know, if you have that kind of portfolio, administration might be a good thing for you.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Guidry. You gave us a lot of insight and a lot of things that we wouldn't have known about the associate provost.
Yeah,
Yes.
most people don't know anything about even the provost, let alone the associate provost. I tell people the associate provost is the provost who works at Walmart.
Right.
You get it?
That's cool. Well, thank you, Dr. Guidry, for sharing your insight and experience with us today. It's been enlightening to hear about your role and vision at SFA's academic future. Remember, listeners, success in academia and beyond starts with dedication and clear vision. Subscribe to the cheat sheet and follow us on social media and stay connected. This is King Musa signing off. Stay encouraged as you stay focused and keep striving for excellence. Y'all have a great day.